Have you ever noticed that sometimes the smallest, simplest things in our lives hold the greatest power to transform us? Not the dramatic gestures, not the giant overhauls, not the sweeping New Year's resolutions that fade by February. I'm talking about the tiny choices, the quiet decisions, the overlooked rituals that day after day shape the course of our lives. And today, I want to talk to you about one of those simple symbols. A humble one, a common one, a familiar one.
The egg, yes, the egg.
Now, stay with me, because this is not a speech about breakfast. This is not a lecture about nutrition or health. This is a speech about life, about choices, about the everyday habits that build or break our potential. And the way we treat something as small as adding one consistent, intentional habit to our day, whether it's eating 3 to 4 eggs or journaling for 10 minutes, or walking around the block, reveals something profound about who we are and who we could become. Let me take you back for a moment. Years ago, during one of the most chaotic seasons of my life, I visited a friend who had this strange ritual. Every morning, he'd crack exactly 3 eggs into a pan. Same time, same pan, same deliberate rhythm. Crack, sizzle, crack, sizzle. He didn't rush. He didn't multitask. He didn't scroll on his phone or check his email. Those 3 little eggs were his daily promise to himself. I will start my day with intention. I will nourish my mind and my goals before I nourish the world. And as I watched him, I realized something powerful. It wasn't about the eggs. It was about the discipline behind the eggs, the ritual, the consistency, the gentle reminder that greatness is not born from intensity, it is born from consistency. So today, the theme of this speech is simple yet profound. What happens when you commit to one small, intentional habit every day, symbolized by the idea of eating 3 to 4 eggs daily. And to explore this idea fully, I want to walk you through 3 key points, 3 truths that, when fully understood, can change not only your habits, but the direction of your entire life. Key point 1: small daily choices shape big life outcomes. Let's begin here because this is where transformation truly starts, with the understanding that your life is not defined by occasional bursts of action. It is defined by the small choices you make every single day, the ones nobody sees, nobody applauds, nobody posts about on social media. There is incredible power in the ordinary. Every morning when you crack an egg, or metaphorically, when you commit to any small, consistent habit, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Maybe the habit is waking up 10 minutes earlier. Maybe it's choosing to read a paragraph instead of scrolling endlessly. Maybe it's speaking one kind word to yourself before you leave the house. Maybe it's taking a breath before reacting. Tiny things, microscopic choices, but they accumulate. You see, we often underestimate the power of small habits because change feels too slow. We want overnight success, instant transformation, immediate gratification. But life doesn't work that way. Success doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't work that way. Imagine someone who begins eating 3 to 4 eggs each morning, not because they think it's magic, not because they're expecting a miracle, but because they want to create a ritual, a moment of structure, a moment of grounding, a moment where their day begins with a deliberate yes to themselves. At first, nothing dramatic changes. No fireworks, no confetti, no applause. But something subtle begins to shift, because the habit is not just feeding the body, it's feeding the mind. It's saying, I show up for myself. And when you show up for yourself consistently, even in the smallest of ways, you begin to rewrite your inner identity. You begin to believe you are someone who follows through, someone who honors commitments, someone who values growth. And let me tell you, identity is far more powerful than motivation. Motivation is fleeting, identity sticks. Think about the people you admire, the people you envy, the people you look at and say, they're so disciplined, they're so successful, they're so focused. You're not seeing their gifts, you're seeing their habits, you're seeing the compounded effect of years of small actions stacked on top of each other like bricks building a cathedral. Your life is built the same way. Small choices repeated daily create big outcomes. Let me share a personal story. There was a period in my life when I felt horribly stuck. I was overwhelmed, unfocused, exhausted. My goals felt distant, blurry, almost laughable, and one day a mentor said to me, stop trying to change everything. Just change one thing, one tiny thing. Do it every day and see what happens. I resisted it at first. It felt too simple, too easy, too small. But eventually I tried it. I chose a single daily habit, not eggs, but journaling for 5 minutes every morning. 5 minutes. And do you know what happened? The first week, nothing. The second week, still nothing. But by the third week, I felt it. The whisper of identity shifting, I began to trust myself again. I began to feel momentum, and that momentum created energy, and that energy created clarity, and that clarity created results. Not because I changed everything, because I changed one thing. This brings us to the second key point 20, and consistency builds confidence, and confidence builds life. There is something profoundly empowering about doing the same meaningful thing every single day. Not because someone is forcing you, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Consistency is a gift you give to your future self. Think again of the example of someone who intentionally eats 3 to 4 eggs every day. There is consistency in that ritual. There is commitment. There is accountability. And with consistency comes confidence, not the loud, boastful, Instagram filtered confidence, but the quiet, unshakable, deeply rooted confidence that says, I can trust myself, I can depend on myself, I can count on myself to follow through. Self confidence doesn't come from achieving big goals, it comes from making small promises and keeping them. Every day you keep a promise to yourself, you build a reservoir of self belief. And every day you break a promise to yourself, that reservoir drains a little more. Confidence is not something you magically feel. It is something you earn through consistency. And consistency is something you build through small habits. You can think of life as a bank account. Every action is a deposit or a withdrawal. When you choose a daily habit that grounds you, centers you, fuels you, you make a deposit. When you abandon your intentions, skip your commitments, or break your promises, you make a withdrawal. The only person who sees every deposit and every withdrawal is you. And that's why consistency matters so deeply, because confidence is not about how the world sees you. It's about how you see you. You know when you're living with alignment. You know when you're taking shortcuts. You know when you're rising or falling. The world doesn't have to know, but your soul does. Your spirit does. Your future does. Let me ask you a question. How would your life change if you trusted yourself completely? If you believed deeply that you could do what you said you would do, if you believed you had the discipline to follow through on your goals, if you believed you had the strength to shape your own future. The truth is, you already have that strength. The problem is, most people look for confidence in the wrong places. They look for it in achievements, in praise, in validation, in comparison. But confidence doesn't come from any of that. Confidence comes from alignment when your actions match your intentions. And nothing creates alignment faster than daily consistency. This brings us to the third key point. Key point 35: intentional habits create intentional lives. This is where everything comes together. The ritual, the consistency, the identity, the confidence. All of it. Your life becomes intentional when your habits become intentional. You cannot create a purposeful life from random actions. You cannot create clarity from chaos. You cannot create growth from inconsistency. Intentional lives are built from intentional habits. Think again of the example we've been exploring. The discipline of eating 3 to 4 eggs daily, or any daily practice. It is a small act, but the intention behind it can be enormous, as starting the day with clarity, fueling the body with purpose, grounding the mind in routine, creating a sense of agency and control. If you want a more purposeful life, start with a more purposeful morning. If you want a clearer mind, start with a clearer habit. If you want a stronger sense of direction, start with a stronger sense of consistency. One of the biggest myths people believe is that their life will change when something external changes. A new job, a new relationship, a new year, a new opportunity. But nothing external can transform your life if you remain the same internally. Change begins on the inside. Change begins with you. And you begin with one intentional habit. People often ask me, what's the best habit to start with? But the truth is, the specific habit matters far less than the intention behind it. Your habit could be reading for 10 minutes, walking each morning, eating a nourishing breakfast, stretching, breathing, journaling, meditating, anything. What matters is that it becomes your anchor, your ritual, your daily promise. Intentional habits create intentional momentum, and intentional momentum reshapes your life. Let me tell you another story. A woman once approached me after a seminar. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, drowning in responsibilities. I don't know where to start, she said, tears in her eyes. I want to change my life, but it feels impossible. And I told her the same thing my mentor once told me: start with one thing, just one. She chose a morning ritual, drinking a glass of water the moment she woke up. That's it. One glass. Every day. It seemed too small to matter, but it mattered immensely because that one intentional act became her foundation. And once she mastered one glass of water, she added a 5-minute stretch. Then she added a 2-minute gratitude practice. Then she added a walk. Then she added healthier meals. Then she added boundaries. Then she added courage. Courage to make decisions she had long avoided. She didn't change her life in one sweeping act. She changed her life one habit at a time. And so which brings us to this moment right now. You sitting here, listening to these words, feeling something inside you, maybe a whisper, maybe a spark, maybe a stirring, a desire for more, a desire for growth, a desire for change. And if that desire is alive in you, even faintly, then let me tell you this, you don't need a massive plan. You don't need a 5-year strategy. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need one intentional habit, just one, a small habit, a simple habit, a habit rooted in showing up for yourself, a habit that grounds you, a habit that reminds you that you are worthy of effort, worthy of growth, worthy of commitment. Your life does not change when you wish for it. Your life changes when you work for it consistently, intentionally, deliberately, and it all begins with one choice. So here is my challenge for you, and it is a challenge that could truly transform everything. Choose one daily habit, one ritual, one act of intentionality. Maybe it's eating a healthy breakfast, like 3 to 4 eggs. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's walking. Maybe it's breathing deeply. Maybe it's expressing gratitude. Maybe it's repeating an empowering affirmation. Maybe it's putting down your phone for the first 10 minutes of the morning. Choose one habit that represents your commitment to yourself. Then do it tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next. Let it become your anchor. Let it become your symbol. Let it become your statement of identity. Let it become your promise. A promise that says, I am becoming the person I choose to be. Because when you choose one habit and commit to it daily, 3 powerful things begin to happen. You reshape your identity. You rebuild your confidence. You reclaim your life. And that right there is the foundation of transformation. So as you leave here today, I want you to carry this truth with you. Greatness does not begin with intensity. Greatness begins with consistency, not with giant leaps, but with daily steps, not with perfection,
Yeah.
but with intention, not with everything, but with one thing. Let your habit, whatever you choose, become your personal symbol of growth. Let it remind you that you are capable of discipline, capable of change, capable of transformation. And then when you wake up tomorrow morning and make that intentional choice, whether it's cracking 3 eggs into a pan or opening a journal or taking a breath, let it be more than a habit. Let it be a declaration that you are ready, a declaration that you are committed, a declaration that you are stepping into the life you deserve, because your future will not be built by accident. Your future will be built by intention. And it begins today with one small habit. Now go, choose it, commit to it, and let it change your life.